mind. But the news was just announced that WNBA TV ratings are down more than 50% since Caitlin Clark's injury. And it was also reported that the Indiana Fever television viewership is also down over 53%. Now, I know a lot of us were expecting some sort of dip since Caitlin Clark has been out with injury, but I don't think all of us were expecting the entire viewership of the entire WNBA.
Okay, listen up. The WNBA just learned a harsh truth, like trying to watch Netflix without Wi-Fi. Life is an absolute misery and completely unwatchable without Caitlin Clark. I mean, postseason ratings are tanking faster than your phone battery at 2 a.m. Right now, the league is scrambling, desperately trying to figure out how on earth to keep fans engaged. Did everyone just vanish into thin air, or did viewers simply switch over to pickleball highlights? Trust me, this playoff disaster is more captivating than any reality TV reunion you'll ever see, so stick around.
Is there any chance that the WNBA, that Kathy Engelbert saw some of the ratings that I'm about to show you now and said, hey, Indiana Fever, can you do us a favor? Can you do us a solid? Can you just tease a Caitlin Clark return, kind of boost these up a little bit? Can you just dangle a Caitlin Clark return in front of the fans' faces, try to boost these ratings up a little bit? There was one matchup that this league can consistently rely on to produce massive viewership.
This was supposed to be the season, right? The year the WNBA finally stepped out of the shadows and showed everyone it could truly compete with the big leagues. But instead, it feels like they messed up their entire plan, tripped face first into a giant bucket of nacho cheese, and are now frantically trying to convince us it was all part of some genius, culinary-themed strategy. Yeah, right.
A shocker. Imagine my surprise. Just imagine my surprise when Uncle KC found out that the WNBA is struggling to maintain their ratings without Caitlin Clark. To make matters worse, and this is something I have definitely noticed in the last 3 or 4 weeks, especially since the All-Star game, the WNBA seems to be struggling to maintain interest.
Let's just be honest here for a second. This WNBA season has been both spectacular and utterly devastating. I mean, when you were trying to watch a game, you probably saw a commissioner who thinks player health is more of a polite suggestion, a ridiculous number of injuries, and foul calls that look like they were made by referees wearing legally broken glasses. If you were tuning in for actual amusement, you probably clicked away faster than you can say Caitlin Clark. And speaking of Clark, her ankles basically became public property, with defenders treating her like a human crash test dummy. Honestly, she spent more time on the bench recovering than actually playing in court.
Think about Caitlin Clark. The operative word that comes to my mind is gratitude. There's an incredible level of gratitude that should be accorded to this young lady with what she did for the sport.
How was the attendance for Team USA in the Olympics? What would it have been like if Caitlin Clark was playing on that team? Remember the first game? Look at this right here. National broadcast viewership. What are we talking about here? 1,000, what is that? 1.219? Is that the number? And the game afterwards got 485,000. So the Fever in their game against the Minnesota Lynx was 1.219 million.
You know something seriously wrong when the most thrilling part of the entire season is watching fans frantically trying to guess if the league will just completely disintegrate before the playoffs even finish. Right now, it's barely being held together by a tiny strip of duct tape, creatively labeled "Please don't notice how absolutely terrible this is." Spoiler alert, everyone noticed.
NBA's black superstars should thank their lucky stars for the record ratings Caitlin Clark is detonating, even if new fans are mostly white fans. It doesn't matter what color eyeballs are. But the other day, I must admit, it hit me like Katie Bell Henderson telling me that's enough. I told myself it's not racist for me to like.
And speaking of awful, can we talk about the officiating this season? Seriously, it feels like they plucked these referees straight out of a mall food court during the lunch rush. One minute, they're chewing on what looks like Sparrow pizza while debating a flagrant foul, and the next, another ref clearly thinks they're officiating a roller derby. The consistency, it's somewhere between a fortune cookie and a magic 8-ball. One game, a blatant foul goes uncalled, but then the very next game, someone sneezes too hard and they're instantly ejected. Honestly, if these officials had their own player stat line this year, it would proudly display 100% turnovers and questionable calls on every single possession.
The WNBA has a problem, and that problem is Caitlin Clark not playing in WNBA games. Now, what all does this affect? The ratings are plummeting. Guys, there's ratings for a couple of these games that are eye-popping.
All right, next up, the injuries. This WNBA season honestly feels less like a basketball league and more like an orthopedic surgeon's Christmas wish list. Caitlin Clark, for instance, has been spending more time recuperating than actually playing, mostly because defenders treat her like she owes them money. Every single drive to the basket looks like a brand new episode of How Hard Can We Smash Caitlin Before the Referee Sees, and trust me, they try hard. But this basketball apocalypse has claimed more than just Clark. It's like the commissioner's office sighed a collective good, another star down when other players got hurt. Then there's Angel Reese, who just up and left the WNBA mid-season. In any other sport, that would be a shocking scandal, but here, it's more of a damning indictment of the league itself. Because, let's be real, why on earth would anyone choose to stay when your commissioner can't even run the league smoothly? The referees are auditioning for clown school, and players are dropping like flies on a scorching July afternoon. Reese probably decided she'd rather spend her time racking up followers on Instagram than risking another tackle in a supposed basketball game.
That's not a trend that the WNBA is excited about. That's a trend that Kathy Engelbert would say, hey, Fever, hey, Lynn Dunn, hey, Kelly, hey, Amber, can you guys start dangling that Caitlin Clark return like you used to do? You know, before Caitlin Clark gave a statement and you guys were hands off. Can you guys, just string them along a little bit more? We want to get these ratings back up. We want to get...
But here's the kicker. All of this isn't happening in a vacuum. For years, the WNBA has been practically begging for attention, desperate to be seen as more than a passing fad, to be taken seriously. Yet the league itself isn't helping its own cause. The commissioner, for example, seems allergic to player safety, acting as if upholding the rules and safeguarding star athletes is just too extreme. When people eagerly tuned in, trying to see if the hype was real, those days before Clark's injury were the best. Suddenly, ESPN was pretending to care. SportsCenter actually showed highlights, and even Twitter users feigned understanding what a pick and roll was. But the moment she was sidelined, the numbers plummeted faster than Angel Reese's commitment to finishing the season. It really looks like the WNBA just figured out what happens when your entire marketing strategy hinges on one player, and your officiating strategy is to just let her get punched in the face. Now, some loyal fans might argue that foul calls are just part of the game, that injuries happen, and this is merely a rough patch. But honestly, this is way more than just bad luck. It's poor leadership. The commissioner has been sitting back, much like a substitute teacher who's completely lost control of the class. Instead of addressing crucial issues, the league just doubled down on its disregard. Star athletes quitting. Hey, it's alright, game's unwatchable because of the ref. Don't worry, fans will stick around. And you guessed it, they absolutely did not.
At Indiana against the Chicago Sky, right after that game, they opened an investigation once again into the fans, where they found nothing, but the damage had already been done at that point. If some of these things happen just one time here and there, or there's one certain media personality who's just always saying these kind of things, then whatever. I feel like fans as a whole can be like, okay, whatever, this person is just a hater. But this is something that has happened over and over and over again. And over time, it starts chipping away at how much you're going to actually care and want to support an organization if they continue to do.
So, the few players who do remain healthy are forced into matches that look more like professional wrestling or rugby than actual basketball. Seriously, half the time, you can't even tell if you're watching WWE SummerSlam or a WNBA playoff game. You're just waiting for someone to grab a steel chair. Meanwhile, the commissioner is out there giving interviews, cheerfully talking about the league's expansion and momentum. Yeah, and I get taller every time I wear high heels. Calling this season's growth is like calling a house fire a new lighting design. It's completely irrational. But here's the thing, despite the entire system collapsing around them, these incredible women are still out there giving it absolutely everything they've got. They don't deserve representatives who officiate games like they're at a toddler's birthday party. They don't deserve leadership that treats their well-being as a complete afterthought, and they definitely don't deserve a league that ignores them the second things get tough, only promoting them when it's convenient. Now the WNBA season is just limping to an end, with ratings in the toilet, half the players on the injured list, and fans genuinely wondering if the league can even survive another season like this one. So, congratulations WNBA if this was supposed to be your season of monumental growth, because it's certainly grown into the biggest possible mess.
Caitlin Clark thing, man. I mean, it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing what you guys have done. And then people are catching on to your tactics. You got the people on Twitter catching on to your tactics. Like, look at this right here. Look at this right here. They say ESPN didn't want to show the ratings were down from WNBA All-Star Game because Caitlin Clark.
All right, let's talk about this Caitlin Clark situation, because dude, it's just plain embarrassing. What you guys have done is genuinely disgraceful, and people are finally seeing through your strategies. I mean, Twitter is practically calling you out. There are claims that ESPN even tried to hide the fact that the WNBA All-Star Game had lower ratings precisely because Caitlin Clark wasn't playing. Maybe next year, the commissioner will actually give player safety some real consideration. Maybe the officials will finally be taught the definition of a foul. And maybe, just maybe, athletes like Caitlin Clark won't be forced into early retirement by the end of a single season. But until then, the WNBA is in serious danger. And here's the cold, hard truth. It's not that the supporters don't care, it's that the leadership clearly doesn't. The WNBA genuinely expected ticket sales to soar this year, for stadiums to be packed with lines outside like a new iPhone release. Instead, the reality is echoing with empty seats, louder than any referee's whistle. You can practically hear the popcorn sellers wailing into the void, begging anyone to buy a hot dog. Most games' ticket sales resemble the clearance section of a bankrupt department store. They're out here claiming they're growing the fan base while fans are actually just growing their Netflix queue instead of watching. Without Clark drawing in spectators and bringing the drama, WNBA ticket sales actually fell apart faster than a Jenga tower after an earthquake. And the most hilarious part of all this, the league's desperate attempts to spin it. Their social media posts keep appearing as if nothing has changed, like it's just another thrilling night of WNBA play. Meanwhile, in the comments, supporters are like, where's the excitement? Which game and what dimension are you even talking about? People are literally uploading memes of tumbleweeds rolling across empty seats in the replies. When your own marketing tweets turn into a comedy show for a fan base that's clearly lost all hope, you know something is fundamentally broken. And let's not overlook the commissioner herself. Her performance pretending everything is fine deserves an Oscar. She goes on TV to claim the league is in its strongest position ever. That's like the Titanic's captain boasting about how beautiful the ship looks underwater. Technically still floating, but definitely not in the way you want. She's become a master of denial, like a magician trying to distract you with card tricks while the entire theater is engulfed in flame. And when people do criticize her, demanding accountability for all the injuries, the abysmal officiating, and the glaring lack of player protection, she either stays silent or, even worse, trots out some prefabricated statement about examining our protocols, as if proper medical care is a moon landing, or referees suddenly remember how to enforce the rules. The league goes to great lengths to safeguard its stars, because guess what? No one will watch if you don't have stars. Ratings perish without your stars. Ticket sales plunge when your stars are absent. It's not rocket science, it's simple business. The NFL gets this. Quarterbacks are treated like precious works of art. Breathe too hard on Patrick Mahomes and referees will throw a flag faster than you can say roughing the passer. But in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark gets body checked into the scorer's table and the referees basically say, play on, nothing to see here. It's no surprise fans are understandably incensed, and frankly, it's no surprise people are tuning out.